It's me, Grammy B, Aunt Barbie, Mrs. Wright, whatever. Whatever you want to call me, it's okay. And I'm here with my favorite book, Winnie the Pooh, and I'm going to read chapter 3, in which Pooh and Piglet go hunting and nearly catch a woozle. The piglet lived in a very grand house in the middle of the beech tree, and the beech tree was in the middle of the forest, and the piglet lived in the middle of the house. Next to his house was a piece of broken board which had Trespassers W on it. When Christopher Robin asked Piglet what it meant, he said that it was his grandfather's name and had been in the family for a long time. Christopher Robin said, "You couldn't be called Trespassers W," and Piglet said, "Yes, you could, because his grandfather was. And it was short for Trespassers Will, which was short for Trespassers William. And his grandfather had two names, in case he lost one. Trespassers after an uncle, and William after the trespassers. "I've got two names," said Christopher Robin carelessly. "Well, there you are. That proves it," said Piglet. One fine winter's day, when Piglet was brushing away the snow from in front of his house, he happened to look up, and there was Winnie the Pooh. Pooh was walking round and round in a circle, thinking of something else, and when Piglet called to him, he just went on walking. "Hello," said Piglet. "What are you doing?" "Hunting," said Pooh. "Hunting what?" "Tracking something," said Winnie the Pooh, very mysteriously. "Tracking what?" said Piglet, coming closer. "That's just what I ask myself. I ask myself what? What do you think you'll answer?" "I have to wait until I catch up to it," said Winnie the Pooh. "Now look there." He pointed at the ground in front of him. "What do you see there?" "Tracks," said Piglet. "Paw marks." He gave a little squeak of excitement. "Oh, Pooh, do you think it's a woozle?" "It may be," said Pooh. "Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. You never can tell with paw marks." So there they are, just getting started. There they are again, following those paw marks. Turn the page. With these few words, he went on tracking, and Piglet, after watching him for a minute or two, ran after him. Winnie the Pooh had come to a sudden stop and was bending over the tracks in a puzzled sort of way. "What's the matter?" asked Piglet. "It's a very funny thing," said Bear. "But there seems to be two animals now. This, whatever it was, has been joined by another, whatever it is, and the two of them are now proceeding in company. Would you mind coming with me, Piglet, in case they turn out to be hostile animals?" Piglet scratched his ear in a nice sort of way, and said that he had nothing to do until Friday, and he'd be delighted to come, in case it really was a woozle. "You mean in case it's really two woozles," said Winnie the Pooh, and Piglet said that anyhow he had nothing to do until Friday, so off they went together. There was a small spinney of larch trees just here, and it seemed as if the two woozles, if that's what they were, had been going round the spinney, and round this spinney went Pooh and Piglet after them. Piglet passing the time by telling Pooh what his grandfather Trespassers W had done to remove the stiffness after tracking, and how his grandfather Trespassers W had suffered in his later year from shortness of breath, and other matters of interest, and if Pooh was wondering what a grandfather was like, and if perhaps this was two grandfathers that they were after now, and if so, whether he would be allowed to take one home and keep it, and what Christopher Robin would say, and still the tracks went on in front of them. Suddenly, Winnie the Pooh stopped, and he pointed out excitedly in front of him. "Look!" "What?" said Piglet with a jump. And then, to show that he hadn't been frightened, he jumped up and down once or twice. in an exercising sort of way. La, 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 la. The tracks, said Pooh. A third animal has just joined the other two. Pooh, cried Piglet. Do you think it's another woozle? No, said Pooh, because it makes different marks, this one. It's either two woozles and one, as it might be, whizzle, or it might be two whizzles and one, if so it is, woozle. Let us continue to follow them. And so they went on, feeling just a little bit anxious now, in case the three animals in front of them were of hostile intent. And Piglet wished very much that his grandfather, T.W., were there instead of elsewhere. And Pooh thought how nice it would be if they met Christopher Robin suddenly, but quite accidentally, only because he liked Christopher Robin so much. And then all of a sudden, Winnie the Pooh stopped again, licked the tip of his nose in a cooling manner, for he was feeling hot and anxious more than ever before in his life, because now there were 4 animal prints in front of them. Oof, look at those. They're looking. Do you think, Piglet, look at their tracks. 3 as it were woozles, and 1 as it were whizzle. Another woozle has joined them. And so it seemed to be. There were the tracks, crossing over each other here, getting muddled up with each other there, but quite plainly every now and then the tracks, 4 sets of paws. I think, said Piglet, when he had licked the tip of his nose too, he found it brought very little comfort, I think that I just remembered something. I've just remembered something that I forgot to do yesterday, and I shan't be able to do it tomorrow, so I really ought to get back to do it now. We'll do it this afternoon, and I'll come with you, said Pooh. It isn't the sort of thing that you can do in the afternoon, said Piglet quickly. It's a very particular morning sort of thing, and it has to be done in the morning, and if possible between the hours of... What time would you say it is? It's about 12, said Winnie the Pooh, looking at the sun. Well, as I was saying, between the hours of 12 and 12:05. So really, dear old Pooh, if you will excuse me... What's that? Pooh looked up at the sky, and then, as he heard the whistle again, he looked up into the branches of the big oak tree, and he saw a friend of his. It's Christopher Robin, he said. Ah, then, you'll be right, said Piglet. You'll be right safe with him. Goodbye. And he trotted off home as quickly as he could, very glad to be out of danger again. There he is running, little Piglet. Christopher Robin came slowly down his tree. Silly old bear, he said, what were you doing? First you went around the spinney twice by yourself, and then Piglet ran after you, and then you ran around the spinney again, and then you were just going around a 4th time. Wait a moment, said Winnie the Pooh, holding up his paw. And he sat down and thought, in a most thoughtful way that he could think. He fitted one paw into the other. Tracks. Then he scratched his nose twice. And he stood up. Yes, said Winnie the Pooh. I see now, said Winnie the Pooh. I've been foolish and deluded, and I am a bear of no brain at all. You're the best bear in all the world, said Christopher Robin soothingly. Am I? Said Pooh hopefully. And then he brightened up suddenly. Anyhow, he said, it's nearly luncheon time. And so he went home for it. And that's chapter 3 of the book Winnie the Pooh by A. Milne, with decorations by Ernest H. Shepard. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.